Welcome back to the Money Focus Podcast. I'm your host, Moses the Mentor. And in this episode, I'm excited to bring you Z Scott. She's an MIT alumna and also known as the SEO Queen. She's here to talk us through search engine optimization and digital PR. And you need to be all ears because this is an excellent way to grow your business and your online presence. So sit back, learn, grow, and pay it forward. Let's go. Thank you for joining the Money Focus Podcast. I appreciate you joining the show, Z. And the first thing I always like to ask my guests to do is to walk us through their career journey, their professional journey, ultimately to how they started their business. So the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Moses, the mentor, for having me on your podcast.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I started my professional journey, I would have to say when I was 9. When I was in 4th grade, that was when I really made the connection with academia, grades, and college. And so I saw this movie, Soul Man, and it was about this guy who basically pretends to be Black because his father cut him off. And so he has to get the scholarship to finish Harvard Law School. So I saw the movie and I really wanted to be an attorney. And then I knew I needed to get straight A's. So fast forward, I was going through my college admission letters and everything. And I see this card from MIT and I tell my dad, because my dad is sitting right there in the living room as I'm going through the mail. And we're just talking about things. And I was like, MIT? I was like, they don't want me. My dad said, take that card out of the trash. So I took that card out of the trash and from there, I graduated from MIT with 2 degrees, one in management science with an emphasis on information technology, and then a bachelor's of science in music. And then I worked for Raytheon after that as a business programming technologist or a web applications developer. I was building websites and integrating them into databases using SQL and HTML. And then I went to grad school, got my master's degree in public policy. And then I decided in 2005, before I graduated with my master's, that I really wanted to take my music more serious. And so I think it's when I realized I had options, I started taking them. And when I was working and building a book of business and my impact and contribution to the organization was undervalued and underappreciated, that's when I was catapulted to entrepreneurship.
Well, kudos to you. I mean, MIT is definitely a great school to get into. So congratulations. And your dad definitely believed in you to get that card out of that trash can. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. When you made that transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, like talk to us about some of the growing pains with that. Like, well, number one, what catapulted you to do that? What was that story that got you from I got to get out of here, but then also kind of walk us through some of the challenges you faced when you started your business?
Well, because I was working at this one company and I had built my book of business because I was working in sales, SEO sales, and I was also doing customer service on the back end. They didn't know because they weren't like, I would talk to the developers and I would just I would tell them if they weren't getting it to it fast enough, I would say, give me the login to the website, I'll fix it. So, because I do HTML, so I would do this, and as my confidence and my awareness of my worth continued to grow, I went to the owner of the company on 3 occasions asking for a raise, and I was told no, and I was given a lot of excuses, and then at that point, I either had to say, okay, I went to MIT and I'm making a base salary of $1,667 a month plus commission, which resets every month. So I only get what the new business that comes on. I'm not getting any piece of the $500,000 book of business of recurring revenue that I booked, that I built and sold. And so I had to make a decision. do I want to stay there or move on? And I decided to move on, and I replaced my income quite quickly. And the biggest challenges that I faced, when I first launched my agency in 2012 was really just going up the learning curve, because I hadn't been in web development for some years. And so from about 2001 to 2012, that's like a decade of just having to go up the learning curve technologically, right?
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
and what's so crazy is even now when I'm working on websites for clients, sometimes I'll think of a HTML markup that upon further research is depreciated. So you can see I still have some knowledge that's like ancient. So I've had to like go up the learning curve. That's one challenge that I had. The other challenge is just understanding contracts and, billing and being able to manage cash flow. So as a business owner, this is something that I never really studied in depth. When I was at college, I took like maybe one financial accounting class, but that was from a corporate perspective. When you are starting a company that you're bootstrapping with your own money, with no savings, you literally have to be a miracle worker. And so, you know what I'm talking about, right? You have to always be thinking like 10 steps ahead of where you're at and being like, okay, how am I going to do this? Yeah. So that's one thing I had to go off the learning curve, is understanding that when you get a good contract, and I got some good contracts early in the game, a pretty well-known nursery and marketing agency, branding agency I was supporting with SEO right after, because I networked and I met folks, and I understand the business. At that point in 2012, I literally had spoken to thousands of business owners, literally in 2012.
Yeah.
Now it's even more. But the challenge I had was, not being able to get people on Google page one, but just the business infrastructure around my offer, and, just being able to, talk to people. I'm an MIT alumni, soft skills, that's not our forte. You know what I'm saying? So I've had to get the soft skills and deal with a 10-year thing. And so those have been some of my challenges over the years, building my company.
When you started your company, was it because, you're the SEO queen, right?
Yes.
So what were you the SEO queen in 2012, or did it evolve to that?
Well, you know what? It's so funny. I have still not publicly said what the name of my company is when I first started, because I was so green. One of these days, I'm going to make a video of just like the evolution of my business journey, because I think it's hilarious now. I thought I was really doing something. And when I look back, I was like, oof, I had so much to learn, but I was hungry. Whoa, I was hungry.
That helped though. It got you to the point where you were getting contracts, and you had a network, and you were obviously getting clients. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what is so in 2012, because you noted a moment ago about the technology and the advances of technology, how fast it moves. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really know what SEO was until about a few years ago. Conceptually, I knew Google search or whatever, something like that. I knew it was something going on.
Right.
But until I started my YouTube channel, starting my business and stuff like that, it really didn't resonate with me in that manner. So what exactly is SEO, search engine optimization, for if you had to explain it to a kid, like explain it to us in simple terms, what it is and why it's important for business?
Well, in a knowledge economy, in the algorithm age, if you look at a microeconomic principle of supply and demand, that's what SEO is. It's about you having a supply of products and services and you connecting with the demand online. That's SEO. I call it your keyword economy.
Yeah. The keyword economy.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's a
And
SEO
these
Queen
keywords,
original. You heard that first from me. I've never heard
right, on the
anybody
Money
say
Focus
that.
podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
But listen, I agree with you because anytime I'm posting content, one of the things before I hit the post that I'm thinking about is keywords. You know, because if you don't have the right keyword or the right descriptions, combinations of words, it's not really going to be presented to the people that have the demand for that type of content. So, are there some best practices? Like, how do people find the right keywords? Like, help
Well,
us out. Like,
okay. So
it's hard.
keyword research it can really be mind blowing. It really can be mind
Yeah.
blowing because you have all types of keywords. You have top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and then you have the bottom of the funnel. However, attribution, as much as people try to say that they have it down to a science, there's always outliers. There's always shifts in the world. And as we know, with the geopolitical and economic environment we live in, things change so quickly. So this is why it's really important to keep your understanding of your keyword economy. And your keyword economy is multidimensional. You have the keywords that describe your products and services exactly. You have the questions that people are asking about your products and services. And then you have general conversations that people are having that are related to what you're talking about. And when you put all of
Yeah.
those keywords together, this is how you have your keyword economy. And my quantum SEO method is how you dominate your niche and own it.
I mean, it definitely is. I mean, and, you know, in this age with more and more, you know, e-commerce businesses and content creators and things like that, I mean, you have to be able to reach an audience to survive. So are there any tools, any resources or something like that that you suggest for someone that's just getting started with SEO?
Yeah. So if you're just getting started, depending on where you are in the business cycle, if you're, pre-launch or just launching, I highly recommend the keyword suggestion tool at seoqueen.com. And the keyword suggestion tool can be found under SEO tools. Now, if you've been around and your website is performing and you're starting to get some organic traffic, you have Google Analytics, you have Search Console, then you can start using tools like SpyFu and SEMrush. Now, if you are a large enterprise making, multi-millions, you can use SEMrush or you can use some other tools. I believe it's, I want to say I think it's Bright Edge. But most of the business owners that I talk to are, around, 100,000 to 100,000 to, $5 to $10 million. So yeah, it's Bright Edge. That's the name of it. So you really want to be clear on how you want to position yourself in the market. People have an idea about, their products, right? They know what they want to bring to the market, but what is the story around your brand? Because that story that you tell is going to impact your strategy from a technical and also a content perspective.
Yeah. And what are some of the pitfalls of, SEO and not using it effectively in a sense? Because everyone out here, I think, is aware of SEO, but if it's not done the right way, what are some issues that a business or a professional can run into?
Well, I think, I've been on Reddit lately the last few weeks and people are crying. There are all kind of people crying about how their websites are losing traffic going down. And the issue is if you're not, the velocity of the content that you add to your site matters, right? And also the quality of that content you have to, just like a tree grows, your website is a tree. You have to prune some of the branches. You have to get rid of some of the old irrelevant content. You have to repurpose it. You need to refresh it. You need to continue to add new content to it, to your website. And if your mindset is that your website only needs to be 5, 10, 20 pages, and you're frustrated about your revenue, the size of your website literally is limiting how many people you can reach, because you can't have multiple. You can't, like, if you're selling, like, for instance, clothes, you can't have one page on your website for dresses, shirts, and socks. That's just not going to work. You have to have a separate page for each type of product and for the different variations. And so just being very strategic in how you feed into the algorithm, because when you realize that SEO is just like a query, like when you go to the library and you're looking for a specific book, when you're searching for a specific book title, it's not going to give you anything but that book title, right? It's the same thing with SEO. You really have to be specific about who you want to access your site and put the content out there so that they can find you and connect with you. I have one other thing I wanted to say. Let me. I'm almost. One other thing I wanted to say. So when you're talking about SEO and another mistake the business owners make, I think a lot of people just don't even understand how massive Google is. Like, they have server farms and power farms. Like, this is a huge operation. Google.com is the most popular website on the planet. It's 900 times the traffic that Facebook gets. Facebook. Now, I mean, you really have to wrap your mind around that, because Google is a huge website. And when you really understand that Google is constantly tweaking their algorithm, there's over 200 factors that Google is looking at to organize the content and keep the quality of the content to the user top tier. Then you have to realize, as a business owner, you have to rise to that level and give the algorithm what it needs in order to recognize you as a brand. That means having your social media claimed. You don't necessarily have to post every day. You don't have to post all the time, but having it verified and connected to your domain, making sure you have your Google My Business profile, make sure you have a business Pinterest page. Now, a lot of businesses, they're like, Pinterest is for people who want to get prom dresses and wedding gowns. No, Pinterest is for everybody. You really need to have a presence. You need to have a Pinterest page, because Pinterest is a 2-for-1. You get a social signal and a backlink. So when you really take advantage of the 200 factors that Google is looking at and optimize, meticulously on all of those, that is how you will win.
Yeah, you definitely, I think I have a Pinterest page. I'm just not active on Pinterest. Trying to figure out how to actually promote on there. But what I was going to ask you, I think you were kind of alluding to it, because I definitely didn't know it was 900 times the traffic of a Facebook. That just sounds incredible. So I've done like test searches for my content. Now, if I put Moses the Mentor, yes, it's going to present my website. It's going to bring up my YouTube. It's going to bring up maybe some videos that I have. But how do, and again, I'm sure it's a bunch of people, but if I were to put something like I'm rental property investor, Moses the Mentor, then the results are a little fuzzier. Like how do you actually, what are some best practices to kind of penetrate and allow your stuff to be shown in the search criteria a little bit better? It seems like the only way I'm finding me is if I'm exact.
Okay, so you're talking about branded keywords versus more general, more generic keywords. I call those non-branded keywords, like real estate investor. So what you want to do is you want to create content clusters. When I talk about your keyword economy, what I'm talking about is being able to see all the keywords you have, like, say, real estate investor. That's like one of the probably the highest search keyword probably. And so you want to pull all the keywords that have real estate investor in it. There may be there may be questions that people are asking about real estate investor. So for real estate investor, there is over 14,843 keywords with the total search volume in the United States of 481,000 per month. And so when you look at just all the questions that people are asking about real estate investor, people are asking how to become a real estate investor, how to be a real estate investor. So there's different ways that people are asking questions, how to get investors for real estate. That's another aspect of it. What is a real estate investor? So you have people who are at the very tippy top of the funnel. They don't know what a real estate investment is. And then you have other people who are more in the middle, how to become a real estate investor. And then you have other keywords like how to find a real estate investor coach. That's more towards the bottom of the funnel because they know what a real estate investor is, right? And they're interested in coaching. So that'd be more closer to the bottom of the funnel. So this is how you can really, catapult your brand. Like once you identify your keyword economy, then you could develop a keyword plan for each of those keywords. So a great rule of thumb is you want one keyword per page.
Keyword per page.
Per page. Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
And you can do multiple keywords, but the multiple keywords need to have the main one in it. Like if I wanted to, like in your example, like how to become a real estate investor or how to be a real estate investor, you could possibly do one page for those two. But I personally would do 2 separate pages because, that keyword is long. That's really long. You're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. You're looking at six words in a long tail phrase. So, I mean, that's how you win. It's just, being very intentional and creating the content, having your H1 tag, having your showing your expertise, being helpful. Don't just copy and spin what's out there. You have to add your brand and your perspective, your knowledge to it.
H1, what is the H1 tag?
That's a header tag. That's a header tag.
Header tag. Okay. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. What about AI? So AI is, I implement some AI within my operation now, just getting my feet wet. But how can someone like myself and in the audience incorporate AI and SEO? Like, how does that actually mesh together? Do you recommend using AI to find some of the keywords? Or is there other methods to do that?
Well, first of all, AI is a lot of people are using it to create content. But the other thing you need to think about is optimizing your brand for AI. Because people are going to be asking AI within Google questions soon. And so you really want to understand the constellation or the keyword economy of keywords that people are asking about your products and services, create that content, push it out, make sure it's indexing on Google so that you are fully present when people go to Gemini, when it's rolled out to google.com and they can find you. So that's really the thing that a lot of people aren't talking about. Now, as far as workflow, I think it's pretty clear that AI is helpful to rank on Google when you're creating content. The thing about that, you have to be very careful to just make sure that your content is accurate. Don't just have ChatGPT or Jasper or whatever you're using spit out content that you don't vet. You have to vet all your content.
You definitely do. And it might be just because I'm aware of some of the platforms, but you can tell when someone is using AI. You know what I mean? They're using the same words over and over again. You see things like unlock. Anytime I see unlock, I'm like, oh yeah, they use ChatGPT or something like that. So I think for that, if everyone start using it, how will that impact the SEO though? Like if a mass influx of all these content creators who are not vetting the content or just want to throw content out there, is that going to jack up SEO and you have to constantly vet it?
I mean, this is the thing. Your brand online is your responsibility. And AI is great to push to create content faster. However, you really have to be aware of how you want to show up in the marketplace. I know one thing when I'm blogging for the SEO Queen, it's usually me or some of my writers. The three of us, we write the blogs, and what my approach I do, and I do this for my clients. I do this for SEOqueen.com, the blog there. Is basically I take my ideas and I write them out as much as I have time, and once I spend as much time as I can afford on a particular task, then I'll throw it into ChatGPT. Sometimes that looks like just a prompt, a couple of a sentence. Sometimes that looks like the whole thing written, and I just want it cleaned up a little bit. But it really, to create content at scale in a massive way using AI. I know that CNET is doing it, and they have found some tremendous success. But as a small business owner, where you're really concerned about your reputation, and every step that you make is so critical into the growth of your company. And especially as a Black-owned business, I definitely feel the scrutiny as well. Me personally, I have to put eyes on everything before I put it out there.
Highly agree with that. I mean, there's been horror stories where people have, sent out wrong information, and then also like your brand voice. You want it to be consistent,
right?
And I know that they say you can train AI to get to your brand voice, but I've tweaked with it. Maybe I can't figure it out. There's always going to be something that never really sounds like it came from my mouth. So that's why I always go in there and play with it.
Yeah, I mean, you really, in order to train the AI, you have to use 30 samples or more. That's what I've been seeing. But it works for people. The brand voice it works for are like the people who are creating the AI. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why, I really, like I deal with all types of clients, from Intijaka Shange's estate to, electric bolt instrument makers, mortuaries, leadership coaches. So you have a plethora of styles, lingerie, online lingerie brands. And so with that, with the type of business, with the brand comes a different approach. And, one thing I think that's important for me at the SEO Queen is for my team to capture the essence of the brand as closely as we can. So
from the time when you started your business, over a decade ago, are people, more understanding of what the impacts of SEO are today than they were when you first started? Or do people still have some misconceptions around what the value of SEO is?
I think people see the value. Even though people see, social media as more important, SEO is a close second.
Talk about that. I mean, because the way I look at it, I don't look at them as competing. So maybe I'm wrong. So I felt like SEO helps your social media, but you mentioned it, and
they do
as if they're
yeah. But a lot of brands, a lot of people. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but only 50% of businesses had a website in 2014. Only half of U.S. businesses, only half, and so it's gotten, the percentage has shrunk of those who don't have a website. But I see SEO as a relatively new field. I think it's still maturing, but I don't know. Even with the introduction of AI, I don't know if it'll ever mature because the technology is constantly changing. But people's awareness is increasing, but it's not on a level a business card. It's like everybody has to have a business card, whether it's one of those electronic ones or paper one. That just goes without saying. SEO people see as optional. I disagree. I mean, for me, SEO is a vital marketing strategy, period. One of the reasons why I was just so inspired to just go all in with SEO is when I was a freshman at MIT and I built my first website. I thought about this little program, this code can reach anybody on the planet with a browser for free.
Nice.
To me, that was mind blowing. That was the epiphany I had in 1996. So I've been all in.
To me, SEO is huge, especially now starting my business, because unless you have a huge advertising budget, every post count. Every interactions count.
Exactly.
So if you put out all this content, but no one can see it, that's why people give up. They're like, man, I put this out, only got 5 views, 5 visits to my website. And it's probably because your SEO is not optimized.
Right.
And I've purchased, SEO optimizers and all that type of stuff. And I haven't seen the results that I personally would want. So I just focus on the content and learn piece by piece from people like you and stuff like that. But, it can be frustrating. And that's why I think people need to understand that it's not a static, and I'm guilty of this. I made my website. I don't make many updates to it, but it sounds like it's evolving in the background. So you got to evolve on the front end too. Like you can't just say, okay, I made this in 2023 and think it's going to be relevant today. That's something people need to understand. You need to really constantly update your site, update your content,
Absolutely.
Update your descriptions, because it all feeds into this big algorithm. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
And I've written a book called SEO Training 2017, Search Engine Optimization and Marketing for Small Business. And if you don't want to read a real long book, I have a checklist that I've written, 40 Steps to Google Page 1, both available on SEOqueen.com. And I mentioned that because, it's a lot easier when you don't have to think about all the steps. There's over 200 factors that the algorithm is looking at, so how I wanted to write a checklist to distill that down to cover as much ground as possible. And so those 40 steps will help you. Yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely. I'm going to check it out. Audience, please check it out. We'll make sure they include it in the show notes for sure. I wanted to ask you about digital PR. So talk to us about what that is. I see you, and how you can actually catapult your business. Walk us through it. It seems like you're very excited to talk about it.
Yeah. So digital PR is about how you as the brand, you as a business get famous. Like when you talk about Google is nice. Getting on Google page 1 is nice. But what's even better is going on to platforms that already have a daily audience that's going to their website. They have high domain authority, because this is the thing. When you come up in Google search results, that's not a backlink. That's just pulling search results. That doesn't do nothing. But you get the click, but you don't get a domain authority and trust and visibility flowing to your website to boost your visibility like you do with a news blog or digital PR. So digital PR is important to me because, one, it's positioning you in the marketplace, in the national or the regional conversation, number one. Number two, people are going to these websites every day. And so you're getting fresh eyes onto your website. Now, when they click through, that eyeball is there, right? But it also helps to boost the visibility of your brand online. So the higher the authority of the link, the higher the authority of your website and the higher your rank up on search results. So digital PR is a backlinking strategy.
How do you get started with something like that? Like what, I'm sure they can reach out to you, but what is the process of getting digital PR strategy implemented?
Well, you can go to a website called Easy Media List. And on Easy Media List, that'll give you a list of all the national and local news outlets that you could pitch to possibly get a link to.
No, I definitely didn't know that. So that's huge. Appreciate you talking about that. So what would you say as far as just, someone starting out, because I know I've been out for a little bit and I've learned some new things, but if it's someone who hadn't started their online presence at all and they want to get noticed, they want to get their visibility where it needs to be out the gate, what would you recommend they do from start and then ultimately as they transition on? What are some best practices you want to call out?
The first thing you want to do is be really clear about who your target audience is. Like, who are your best customers? And what you want to do is you want to get as much information as you can about your best customers. And then after you get information about your best customers, you want to start understanding the ways that they're searching for you online. Once you understand how they're searching for you online, which keywords they're using, then you want to create content that speaks to them personally and adapt it to those keywords. You want to build out your website content. You want to make sure that you're verifying your domains on your social media platforms. You want to be on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok. You want to be on all of those social media channels so that you are sending the social signals back to your website. Then you also want to make sure you have your Google Analytics and Search Console. So once you do those basic things, that'll help a lot. And if what I said was a little overwhelming, just call me. 15 minutes are free.
You mentioned like all those social media platforms, and definitely Pinterest is one I want to jump in a little bit more. But is there any one of them that you particularly more helpful with visibility overall? Is Instagram at the top of the list, or is it more TikTok? Like, which one do you say you recommend, or is it even across the board?
Well, I have to say that I've really relied on Facebook personally for I've really relied a lot on Facebook over the years, and it's one of the reasons why my business has grown as well as it has, is Facebook. When you look at social media channels, and then I would say LinkedIn and Pinterest next.
Like my Facebook, I don't get much traction on Facebook. I get more traction on Instagram, but which is ironic because, I mean, they're both Meta, but it's crazy. I get way more engagement on Instagram. So just curious, could it be by your niche that you perform better in one group on one platform versus another, or I'm just not promoting it the right way?
Well, I think so when you're looking at demographics and you're looking at interests, like there's a lot of financial content on Instagram. A lot of financial on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can see why you're having more success with Instagram. The reason why I like Facebook a lot more is because I've spent a lot of time building out my network on Facebook, because I'm a moderator I'm an admin on multiple groups, one of which has over 1 million members in it. And then I'm also admin on some other groups that have about 20,000 members, 15,000 members. And so I also have my SEO Queen Mastermind Facebook group, and that has a little bit over, I think, 500 members. And so when you are able to have your Facebook business page, and then you use your personal profile page to promote your business, plus you're using Facebook ads, plus you're using Facebook groups, you start to build up more awareness, because I push a lot of people to my website off of Facebook, and also raise awareness. You'd be interested in, I mean, it's interesting for me to see how many people I've met in real life that'll see a post on Facebook and just start to re-engage with the brand.
Gotcha. It's a lot to unpack, and that's why, we can talk for hours about it. So what final advice would you want to give people? And most importantly, how can we stay connected with you? So talk us through the best way to contact you. You mentioned something about a 15-minute consult call, your checklist, so your website, social media, etc.
Well, first of all, there's a magazine, the Algorithm magazine. And in this magazine that my company has published, we have a breakdown of Google Analytics, GA4. We have in this magazine some great interviews so you can be inspired by other business owners. You could connect with me at thealgorithmmagazine.com, SEOqueen.com. You want to make sure you get the 40 steps of Google page 1. That is just $10. I have 101 ways to improve your marketing and sales, which is free. And then I also have my book, SEO Training 2017, Search Engine Optimization and Marketing for Small Businesses. That one costs a little bit too. You can always go to Speak to the SEO Queen on the top navigation all the way to the right on SEOqueen.com and book your Reach More Clients Power Session, which is a 15-minute complimentary strategy call. And I would just urge you, as a business owner, when it comes to your business, take your business seriously like you would any class that you needed to make sure that you maintain your NCAA status so you can play in that game. You want to make sure that you keeping your grades up. So when you're approaching your company, really make it your business to learn all you can about it. And whether you're doing it yourself or not, is really beneficial so that you can understand who is knowledgeable and who is not when you're looking to hire someone. Now we live in an age where there's so many scammers, people out there. My industry is rife with people who can talk the talk, but they can't walk the walk. And so you really want to be wary of anybody who says, "Oh, I can get you on Google page 1 tomorrow." It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to really have a strategy. There's a lot of preparation that goes in and goes forward, whether it's Google ads. Like a lot of people, they throw us some ads, but they don't understand. You have to have the content to back it up. You need the site links. You need to have the YouTube videos. You need to have all these digital assets so you can put them together in a synergistic manner to get in front of your ideal client, because you're competing as a small business. You're competing with House of the Dragons content on YouTube and Instagram. You're competing with everybody who's putting content out there. And so you need to have your content to be as top tier as possible and as ubiquitous as you have resources to make it.
You said it well. And, all those resources, I'll make sure to list that in the show notes. I'll be the first one there to grab those things. I'll grab your book. I think you're a wealth of knowledge, and like I said, I could talk to you for 24 hours straight because, I've been doing this myself, and I know I'm not an expert in this field. So I know for any small business owners or content creators, this is one of those things that you need to invest in. This is an investment. It's not a cost. It's an investment to put your content or put your products and services in the right hands for people to help grow your business. So make sure you tap into the SEO Queen. Missy Scott, thank you so much for joining the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show, Moses. And I like that. Moses, the mentor. I like that.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you.